Hello everyone, this is Dana Talvik, and today we are looking at a generic skull villain. He's not their leader or anything like that, he's just a skeleton warrior. So, my idea with making just this skull warrior is this is a creature that can be found within uh, Onukoro. And the reason they're found there is that Onukoro is um, essentially is like a grave site for for protectors and such. Because since Onukoro is already an underground city uh, in the original story, I decided that in my version of the story, Onukoro will be a necropolis, meaning that there are burial sites everywhere. Um, in fact, some of the architecture is made out of Rahi bones um, that were found there, or of the very Rahi that used to live there. Now, my idea is these translucent parts that you see are areas where this uh, corpse was reanimated slash filled out by Makuta's power. So normally a character like this would very much so be just a corpse, and all these translucent parts, instead of there being a bone piece there would be nothing. That is where Makuta's power has corrupted these corpses of once great warriors that used to um, defend Onukoro and Takoro and all of that, and has turned them into mindless creatures that wish only to destroy. So my idea with this is basically uh, the Borak type enemy um, of my series. So this is the enemy that would show up after the Toa have quote unquote defeated Makuta, but in reality Makuta's still fine, kind of thing. Um, So these are essentially like the Borak swarm of my series. I know it's kind of like, oh, why would you get rid of the Borak and replace him with arguably less interesting villains? Basically, the idea of that is, um, I like the idea more of the Borak being like very late stage enemies rather than the second enemy the Toa ever face. Um, so in my series, the Borak don't show up at all until the Toa become Toa Nuva, which I get kind of is weird because like in the original series they became Toa Nuva after defeating the Borak, but in my idea the Toa become Toa Nuva through different means, which I will get to later. Um, But for this skull villain, for articulation, ball jointed shoulders, ball jointed elbows, ball jointed wrists, ball jointed hips, hinge jointed knees, and ball jointed ankles. Oh, and a ball joint at the head. I tried my best to fill out the body, um, which is kind of strange that I did more filling out of a body on like a skeletal warrior, but I kind of like the idea that this is like a warrior who was buried in their full set of armor, if not a like ceremonial armor. Um, so that way, because they're buried like that, their body is more filled out because they don't have to worry about mobility because he's already dead. It's just ceremonial. It's not for mobility. In fact, it exists to restrict mobility in case in case the Taraga's stories of undead armies are true, uh, which turns out they are, by this character existing. So, this character is one of only 2 Onukoro mocks that I have built for the Toamata era. I didn't feel like building all of the Turaga. Maybe at some point I'll go back and build every Turaga, but for now, this guy and Onua are the only Toamata style Onukoro builds. Speaking of which, next week we'll look at Onua Mata.